We're talking about how at a certain point in my life, obviously as an artist, the art I did and the work I did really defined me and became such a big part of who I was and the characteristic of who I was. And I mean, for you listening, if you are listening, this could be anything really. It could be um, your relationship with someone, it could be a job, it could be a hobby, it could be a sport, it could be a passion, but something that is so pivotal to you and who you are and your being that it essentially defines you almost. And it's a critical component of your characteristic. And then always comes a time where you kind of have to go without that thing that made you who you are and that you were so dependent on. And it was so part of your routine that once it's not there anymore, you kind of lose yourself and lose who you are. And that happened to me a while ago where it was part of my routine to write. I wrote constantly every day, every night. I thought about writing during the day and I did it at night. But I think, as most people know, the things you love don't want to stick around sometimes. And, you know, sometimes you just kind of you lose the essence you need to do the things you love. And I lost the essence essentially to write, but I still wanted to write. I had that urge and that craving, that feeling that I want to write. The same way you might have that urge, that feeling, that craving, you want to speak to someone or do your job or do what you're passionate about, do your sport, go to the gym, whatever it is for you. And I think that really had me feeling emptier than I wanted to feel, because with poetry I felt so full. And then I saw this quote one day by John Lennon, I believe it to be, and essentially said that the time you enjoy wasting is not time wasted. And for me, as simple as this line was, and I mean directly applied, it makes complete sense, especially to me because I'm not such a hardworking person per se. But I always I used it to understand what I was going through, and I related it, obviously, like I just said, to the situation. And essentially what I got from it is that even though you aren't doing something productive, you aren't doing something that you feel like you should be doing, you're so used to doing, that is part of you, you need to understand that without the things that make us better, we're still good enough. And there's still joy in not doing something that you feel like you should be doing. And I mean, it could be kind of a reach, but it is what I'm going with right now. I'm trying to say. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is that you that nigga, be that nigga. The things you love shouldn't define you. There is intrinsic worth and intrinsic joy in who you are. And that always needs to remain there. It needs to remain constant. And I mean, there's something beautiful definitely about being committed to something and constantly pushing at something, working hard at it, especially if that thing brings you joy, and driving that process. But the moment the things you love and that bring you joy eclipse the joy you can bring for yourself. Actually, no, let me run that back. That's a lie. The moment you feel empty without the things that bring you the most joy in life, I think we have an imbalance, which is, like I said, the bigger picture of what I'm trying to say today is that you should always be or have some sort of base self-worth. Sometimes happiness really is just not forgetting to breathe. I mean, there's more you can do than just breathe, but if you can't find happiness in just not forgetting to breathe, you're constantly fighting and pushing to do other things just to find happiness in general. But the aim should always be to enjoy the time you waste. And when you start doing things you love, you can find greater happiness in those things, because you are enough on your own. And you're even better with your art. And you're even better with your people, with your passion, with your work. And like I said, it's a very simple lesson. Could be a bit of a reach, but that's my